that being said, let's get into today's topic. So, how to know when it's time to hire, delegate, stretch. Okay, so first of all, I want to just name for all of us, the core resistance that typically comes up is that we can't afford it, right? And anyone that's watching that can relate, please, and I am right there with you. And I will share with you that as somebody that has grown a 7-figure business, it actually really does not matter how much money you're making. Oh good, Chelsea, I'm so happy you're here and great. Okay, cool. I'm so happy this will be supportive. So Chelsea said, I'm right in this right now, so excited to hear your thoughts. So yeah, it's a big topic. At least I know for me, it's can I really afford this person? And I'll just share with you, like I'm saying, it really isn't about the money you're making. When I was growing the team, our real estate business, we had 10 people on the team. We had 6 staff. We had a massive overhead. I'm talking, $400,000 a year of simply salaries. And it was intense. And so even though the revenue was high, the expenses were high. And it was a continual conversation of, can the business afford this? And do we really need this person? And what would they do? And how do we strategize to, to make this work for the business and for the profitability of the company? And this is something that I'm going through right now in my coaching business, and I'm gonna chunk it down so we're not talking about multiple 7-figure businesses, but for all of us, how do you know when it's the right time to put that next person in place? So the first thing that I wanna share with you guys and just lay a foundation is this idea, and I really love this concept of the 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule is the idea that the very, very likelihood that most likely 80% of the revenue in your business is generated by 20% of your activities, okay? And so I want you all to identify what those 20% of your activities are. For a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know for me, these 20% of my activities are things like coming up with the vision of the company, really looking at where my goals are, thinking of new kind of revenue streams or new programs or new ways that I want to share my information or on topics. They're doing things like coming up with the high level marketing, right? Like what's the strategy, what's the brand, what's the messaging? A lot of times it's coming up with that messaging and copy. And then a big piece of it for all of us is nurturing our community and our following, right? So we do that through social media posts, videos, emails, content. And these are big tasks. They do take up a lot of time. And then for people that are in service-based businesses, it's also actually working in your business. So, if you're a coach, you're actually coaching clients. And if you're a designer, a professional organizer, or whatever it is, you're actually doing the work. So there's the working on the business of the strategy and the marketing, and then there's the working in the business. And then there's everything else, right? Contracts, editing, proofing, posting, formatting, text stuff. It's all the stuff that can take up so much time, and you will not be alone if you are willing to admit that you can end up spending a lot of your time getting caught in that nitty-gritty. So if you find yourself in doing a lot of the 80% of the tasks of your business, that is a red flag. That is a red flag that you are kind of getting super, super, super focused. And so for me, I'll share with you, if I find myself kind of looking over the nitty gritty of certain contracts, or if I'm posting all the time, I'm writing my content on my social media stuff, but if I'm actually posting and putting hashtags and, scheduling and figuring out pictures, that is I cannot be spending my time doing that, right? I don't try to do this, but if I ever try to go in and like actually format an email or like create a banner for a Facebook group or for an email, that would be like a huge no-no, just given the fact of how much time it would take me and what a complete waste of time that is for me. If I'm working on that, I'm not actually doing where I am most utilized, which is going out and selling in my business, going out and making connection, going out and building relationships, and going out and driving the business forward. We as the CEOs and the entrepreneurs of our business, our job is to literally push the needle forward, be thinking of new ideas, be thinking of new concepts, and we need to, you know, have the bandwidth and be supported to allow other people to implement those, okay? Okay, so first step is to get really clear on what is the 80-20 and what is your 20%, and are you doing a lot of the 80%? And if the answer is yes, it is very, very high likelihood that it is time for you to bring on a new team member. And if your question is, well, Heidi, great, but like, how do I afford that person? I'm getting to that, so stick with me. Okay, so the second piece is, look at your goals for this year. Shoot, I'm just getting low battery, but I think we'll be fine. Look at your goals, okay? And I really want you to step into and really think about how does the woman act that makes that type of money and has the type of business that I desire? Now, I'm not talking 10 years out or 5 years out or honestly even 2 years out. I want you to look at, what am I committed to creating in my business over the next 6 months, over the next year? And I'll share with you, like, I'm going big this year, you know, like in my coaching business, this is the quote unquote the second official year that I'm in it. I am going for $500,000, and I have no doubt that I can create that. And I know that I cannot do that with a one-person team, me and one person, right? And so while the business last year did not generate the income to have 2 full-time people or 1.5 full-time person or whatever it is, where I'm going requires that I invest and that I think bigger for what my team and the structure of that looks like. So really think about whatever your goals are, whatever those number goals are. I'm a huge fan of this topic. You've heard me talk about it before. Like, how does that woman act? How does she structure her team? Who is supporting her, etc. Okay? And then I'm gonna get to the money part. So again, stick with me here. So then, and I also just want you to take a look at how you're feeling about your business. So if you are like feeling drained all the time, there's ebbs and flows in businesses, right? There's moments where we're like going hard and like really pushing the pedal to the metal, and whether it's a launch or a massive project, and like our head is down and everyone is working full tilt. But if you or a team member, and I've noticed this with Stephanie recently, you know, she is just working like around the clock. And I can feel like it's not slowing down. Like, I keep pushing, I keep having new ideas, I keep having new downloads, I keep having new things that I want to implement, and I'm like she's not going to be able to sustain this. And there's also a sense of me in a way feeling slightly frustrated because all of these new ideas and downloads that are coming forward, they're not getting implemented quick enough. And that's absolutely no one's fault except for mine, by not having the right support and the right staff and the right team to actually implement that as quickly as I desire. So if you are feeling frustrated or drained or whatnot, that is a red flag. So when you know in your heart and your gut and your intuition that it is time to bring on the next team member, and you know that, or the reality is that you aren't in a place to either fund it or to hire that person, I really suggest that you look and you get really, really real with yourself. And believe me, it's scary. It's scary bringing on people. This is an area that I work with a lot of women on. I can even feel it in my like chest, like it gets kind of constricted, like I don't know if I can afford that person. It's a lot of responsibility, and now I'm responsible for someone else, et cetera, et cetera. And just taking a breath, right? Like taking a breath, like stretching it out, and really looking at what is the truth of my business. Like, I might not be able to afford somebody, like I may look at, you know, the business and say, okay, I need to bring on someone part-time this year, which part-time person, call it $25,000 for the year. Okay, is it really true? Is it really true that I can't afford $2,000 this month for that person? No, that's not true. That's actually doable, right? So when you start chunking it down and look at what is the actual reality. So get out of the story of like, I can't afford, or like my business can't afford, or the fear of it, and really look at what is the truth. And I also want to share with you, and I want you to know that there is typically, at least in my experience in building businesses over the years, there's typically a gap between the time that you invest in your team and the time that you actually produce the revenue. Does that make sense? Can I get a heart or a thumbs up if that makes sense? So I had this very, very real experience. I'll never forget sitting with my bookkeeper like 6 years ago in my real estate office, and we were looking at our expenses. We were looking at the revenue, and Kenny and I, that's my husband, we had really big goals that year, and I knew that in order to support the team, to support him, to support our agents, to support the whole group, that we were gonna have to have, you know, a full-time transaction coordinator, a full-time marketing person, a full-time executive assistant, and like I went out and I put all of these people in place. And like the bottom line was like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I will never forget looking at her, who's still a dear friend of mine, and just going, holy shit, like, is this actually going to work? Is this actually going to happen? But as they got trained, and within, I kid you not, it was like a 4 to 6 month period, you know, it got a little challenging there, but like all of a sudden, like I believed in us, I believed in our company, I believed in my husband, I believed in our agents, and like I knew that it was going to shift. I knew that it was going to click, and it did. And that year and the next year were some of the best years that we have ever had. And I share with you that story because it's not always about investing in a ton of people. But you know in your gut when it is time, and I feel it right now for myself. It's like I'm resisting it. I don't really want to invest in that way right at this exact moment. I'd rather bring in the revenue first. Like that would be a lot more comfortable, right? And yet I know that in order to do what I want to do this year and over the next couple of months, that I need more support, that we need more support, that we need more, you know, project management and potentially some copywriting and just someone like organizing on a higher level than what's currently taking place. So it's a leap of faith, ladies, right? And this is where the spiritual side comes in. This is where I'm so big on faith versus fear, is like we know where we're going. We know what our business is. We know what our capabilities are. But if we're not willing to say yes, if we're not willing to say yes to that inner intuition and go, okay, here we go, we're going on a ride. And the fact is, I know that it's people and I know that it's hard, but the truth is that like, you're not, you know, putting a ring on your finger. Like you're not saying yes for the rest of your life. And if it turns out that it was a bad move or you invested too much or it didn't work out, okay, you make a different decision. And the other thing I'll say, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, is that we really are in the age of, you know, virtual everything. And while my comfort zone is still having people around, and I love like the interaction of like an office type scenario, you know, I talked to somebody today that is on the East Coast. She's amazing. And you know, it's like, you don't have to get married to these people. You know, I'm probably gonna bring her on for 10 to 15 hours a week to kind of really clean some stuff up, and then we'll assess. She's her own independent contractor. I'm not hiring her as an employee. Like, she has her own business. I have my own business. We have the beauty in this virtual world and building online businesses that we can ebb and we can flow, and you don't have to like commit. And there's so many opportunities to bring people on too as like project-based people. So just know that, it doesn't have to be so like committing everything in the world and like hiring a full-time person, just to go out and get yourself some support to take care of that 80% of stuff, so that you, as the business owner, the CEO, the woman that is like out there making shit happen, that you can focus on the 20%, that you can focus on driving that revenue, that you can focus on sales, servicing your clients, nurturing your clients, and really being your best self every single day. Ladies, I hope this was helpful. It was fun talking about this topic. I love talking about building teams and leveraging and hiring. And I am gonna go pick up my son now for preschool. All right, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.